Boop. Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars. Hello. Welcome back. Yeah, we may tease you a lot, but we got him on the spot. Welcome back. It is wine o'clock. It is indeed. So I'm going to go for 2 hours here, and if I'm close, I'm going to finish. If not, I will wrap up tomorrow. But I'm going to hit this Friday deadline at some point. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince. That's where we were. I have a lovely 2016 Cabernet with you. This is a vintage of the Boda variety. Come on, straws. You know, 2018 was a good year. Mostly. Okay. Master Bader. Those pants! I wonder if the color connection between his shirt and her pants was deliberate.
Take off that scarf.
You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
Yeah, I don't hate Marcus.
You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
I am not under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
Then take off the scarf.
I am not under the thrall of the Dark Prince. If I go to New York Comic Con, we should do a script reading. That'd be super fun. Set to frame size. Apply default transition. Gang tries to keep Buffy safe for Southern California. Riley stops Buffy on her way out to get Dracula and discovers her secret.
You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
The gang tries to keep Buffy safe from herself, but Xander takes her to Dracula. I'm supposed to deliver you to Dracula. There's like this whole deal where I get to be immortal. 2913.
Prevent him from returning.
I had that wrong. Supposed to deliver you to the master now. Those pants! Thought you were skipping the cons this year. Might do New York, but
I'm supposed to deliver you to the master now. There's this whole deal where I get to be immortal.
I love his eyes. If you do San Diego, I'll bring wine. San Diego's tough simply because it's the con, of course. But I did might do Whedon Con again eventually, which is not San Diego, obviously. more LA, but at least I'll be able to get down to that area. But maybe someday I'll be popular enough to do San Diego center frame size. Dracula. Actually, I don't have a huge desire to be more popular than I am, as long as I can eat and have wine. It's good. Her way out to get Dracula and discovers her secret.
You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
The game tries to keep Buffy safe from herself, but Xander takes her to Dracula.
I'm supposed to deliver you to the Master now. There's this whole deal where I get to be immortal.
Buffy and Drac, apparently House Baratheon, talk about how Buffy's power is rooted in darkness. Back to drinking wine. Yes, indeed. Off target, but starting Firefly tonight. Your last video motivated me. Nice! Stick with it. Definitely took me a few episodes. Apparently House Baratheon. And talk about how Buffy's apparently House Baratheon. I was just struck by the big elk head. Buffy and Drac, apparently House Baratheon, talk about how Buffy's power is rooted in darkness, and she's how Buffy's power is. Hey Sarah, slow and steady. You want to see the intro? You think you know what you are, what's to come? I have no idea. Rooted in darkness, and she's a creature of the night. He offers her his arm and says something a little familiar. Hey, Kay.
First, a little taste.
Tickles!
The power so near to our own. Are what's to come. What you are. Living goes deeper than that. You think you know. You think you know what you are, what's to come. You haven't even begun.
You haven't even begun. I'm quite sexy when I talk like this. Delete, delete, delete. I wonder if it works with anything I say. I like sprinkles on my strawberry ice cream. Teddy bears make me cry. Am I still sexy? Familiar.
You think you
familiar.
You think you know what you are, what's to come. You haven't even begun.
Have you seen Rachel McDonald's video, The Hair Evolution of Buffy Summers? Seems right up your alley. Someone mentioned that earlier. And I was mentioning how I think I know someone else who's working on a video series that might be apropos for.
Begun.
When people tickle my feet, I feel like a tiny baby. Drac offers her a taste. Save. Buffy only had one bad hair day. I happen to like the season where people say she was having a bad hair day. Is rooted in darkness and she's a creature of the night. He offers her his arm and says something a little familiar.
You think you know what you are, what's to come. You haven't even begun.
Drac offers her a taste. Buffy sees visions of the first Slayer and... Dude, the Drac voice is absolutely working for you. For a taste, but don't lie. I don't want to turn this into a live stream of lies. Oh yeah, the bangs were, I've been told they were an attempt to fix the highlights in Season 3, which most people don't like, but I think they look good. Buffy sees visions of the first Slayer and snaps out of her reverie. Drac's mind mojo. Dope boots.
You are resisting.
Looks like.
Come here. Come to me.
You know, I really think the thrall has gone out of our relationship.
Drac's mind mojo stops working. Come here. Come to me. If I was the king turning off the space heater, boop, of the forest. You know, I really think the thrall has gone out of our relationship. When should we expect Buffy vs. Dracula up on YouTube? Hopefully tonight, more likely tomorrow. Drac's mind mojo stops working.
You know, I really think.
Stops working.
You know, I really think the thrall has gone out of our relationship.
They fight. Buffy wins, kind of, and... Ish. Yeah, Jabari. They fight. Buffy wins. That's bad. When can we expect you to see your season 2, Angel? In a week is the goal. They fight. Buffy wins, kind of, and has a conversation with Giles, reassuring him that she really does need him. Cheers, everyone. Happy Friday. Did you ever explain to us how you felt about Snyder as a character? Can you give me a summary of your feelings on him besides gross? Oh, I've talked about Snyder. My sweet prince. Snyder. I love Snyder. Snyder is designed to be hold on. Gotta keep the edits going. Snyder's designed to be antagonistic and awful, and he is just that. But what's his name who plays him does hit with such glee and joy. And the best villain is the kind of villain that loves being bad. And Snyder definitely, who doesn't love Armin Shimmerman? He's terrific. He's a fun, terrible guy. Assuring him that she really does need him. And the episode ends when Buffy stops home and Joyce suggests she take Dawn out. I'm meant to be going, but I'm just toggling between live streams. I'm meant to be going out, but I'm just toggling between live streams. Go out! Don't be like me. Go have fun, do something. Do everything I wouldn't do. It's funny because it's true. No, he runs a theater with the mayor now. Oh, that's kind of awesome. Not at work anymore. Yay. Mom! I love Armin. Set to friend. Can you believe she's here? 5 years of doing this, and we finally get to talk about Dawn. This scene is a strange milestone. I mean, I get it. I would resent being my sister's throw-in task as well. I mean, I get it. I would resent being my sister's throw-in task as well. Buffy vs. Dracula has never been high on my list. Looking forward to Real Me, ripped on to shreds. No promises. Well, Buffy vs. Dracula has never been high on my list of favorite episodes. There are pickups. I have complicated feelings about Dawn. 501 Buffy. When is this going to come out? Hopefully tonight, probably tomorrow. Intro. You're in the minority on that. What, having complicated feelings about Dawn? Maybe. Well, I mean, yeah, I tend to hear mostly just complaints about her, which makes me sad, I guess. Complicated is how you're supposed to feel. There you go. Oh, you're not in the minority on that. Sorry. Buffy versus Dracula. What am I doing? Get rid of that. That goes there. Voiceover. There we go. I'm not sure what it says that my 3 favorite characters are Spike, Dawn, and Tara. That's an eclectic mix. Though Spike and Tara are definitely, I think, fan favorites. But that's a nice mix. I questioned myself watching the show when they introduced Dawn. I don't think you're the only one. And honestly, the first time I watched the show, I found her frustrating. But on my rewatches, excuse me, wine, have reevaluated how I feel about her. Which is kind of one of the things I try and do with the channel. So who knows? Maybe I'll make some episodes more enjoyable for people. Always look on the bright side of life. Buffy versus Dracula is there we go. Buffy versus Buffy versus Dracula has never been high on my list of favorite episodes. See, I said that and I was like, first of all, that's not really saying anything, and I don't like your tone, Mr. Martin. I don't like your negativity. Fun episode, but has never been high on my list of favorites. That's better. Must you dump on everything we do? As well. Buffy versus Dracula is a fun episode, but has never been high. Versus Dracula is a fun episode, but that's better.
Right? I'd heard that you were a myth.
There's some good things about Buffy versus Drac and Judgment. However, seeing the episodes that came right before it, the season opener just felt like, that's fair. I actually like this episode way more than I did before I wrote the essay about it. And that sounds pretentious, but part of doing these well. Buffy versus Dracula is a fun episode, but part of doing this is digging for gold. But has never been listed on my high of personal favorites. List on my high of personal favorites. I accidentally a word wrong. My favorite explanation of Dawn, a friend shared this with me, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I really like that. If you're struggling with Dawn, she is what a bunch of male monks think a teenage girl is supposed to be. She's made by a bunch of male teenage monks. Her personality was shaped by a bunch of them. And so sometimes in those scenes like get out, get out, get out, it's like, oh, okay. Having 4 sisters, I don't find her less believable than other characters, but it is interesting to always kind of bear that in mind. That sorry, hold on. Impressions Buffy versus there we go. It is interesting. I think it's interesting to just bear that in mind. That explains a lot. Exactly. In fairness, I never really thought of Dawn that way. Right. Bunch of dudes sat around and said, "What would a teenage girl be like? Get out, get out, get out!" Wow, that makes things better. I'm going to tell her I shared that and that people were were happy about it. Not helping things. In fairness, high on my list of favorites. In fairness, none of the season openers have. Yeah, I love the intro to that episode. The music and the and everything.
Shopping was also a major theme.
Well, you haven't lost your touch. That.
Yeah, I know. That's the go-to scene to pick on Dawn. I get it. The other one is, Empty Places? Dawn really suffered from Joyce being overprotective, considering Buffy being the Slayer, but then we also see that she has the same bravery as Buffy, so she must have been frustrated by that. Sure. Yeah, Dawn was 100% willing to jump in the gift. That's good. My list of favorites. In fairness, I will be sure to highlight that when we get there. To favorites. In fairness, none of the season openers have. Table setting while cleaning up from the previous meal is... well, arguably they wasted a lot in 7. Except for possibly Spike and Buffy. One of my favorite pieces of symmetry is that shot. And that shot. Really cool. Table setting while... have. Table setting while cleaning up from the previous meal is never an easy thing. Also... the previous meal is never an easy thing. Also not helping things for me and my personal proclivities is thing. What's your favorite season opener? And number 2, Buffy versus Dracula. Also not helping things for me and my personal proclivities is the show's portrayal of the Dark Prince from
I assumed you knew.
I assumed you knew. I am the Dark Prince, Dracula. But Janek is played from Ari NCIS. Doesn't mean anything to me. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm very fond of the Freshman. That's true. It's tough. I really like the Freshman. People love Friday. Yeah, but the Sunday or Friday, but the Sunday. Yeah, there you go. But the portrayal, she doesn't really do anything in particular for me, but they nail the feeling of the American college experience. Clivities is the show's portrayal of the Dark Prince. From the opening musical stinger, Dracula is just absolutely drenched in campy. Never watched NCIS, no. The only procedural I ever got hooked on was Castle. And that's because of Mr. Nathan Fillion. Shiny. I didn't dislike Sunday. Like I said, just didn't do anything for me. Out. In. Yeah, it's cool seeing Oberyn in that episode. I think he did a video for GQ, his most influential roles. I was going to tweet it out. I was like, where is Buffy? I'll be honest, the only crime shows I can stand anymore are the European ones. Yeah, I get that. Castle had a rigid formula, and it gets tedious and exhausting. But the two leads, Fillion and they're just so damn charming. Why can't I remember her name? Sunday was the bully vamp who stole Buffy's stuff. Yeah, I also get like all stomach turny when it comes to bullies, so that might be one of my problems with that episode. Prince. From the opening musical stinger, Dracula is just absolutely drenched in campy. Drenched, get it? That's like electric performances in my Firefly video. They famously hated each other, right? No, the first couple of years, I guess, they got along great. They may have even dated, is the rumor, and then things went south, and then they hated each other. So bad that they would film with body doubles to do over-shoulder stuff so that they didn't have to be standing there with each other. So, well, yeah. But if they did date, can you imagine having a bad breakup and then having to work with the person in a show where you're in love and have to kiss them on a regular basis? Drenched in campy. I watched The X-Files. I don't know if you're talking to me. Love The X-Files. I'd love to do an episode guide on The X-Files eventually. Yes, that explains why the first episode of Castle Season 8 deals with them splitting up. Later in the show, they were always finding excuses for the two of them to not... storytelling excuses for the two of them to not be on camera together. Whether there was something, or he gets abducted, or whatever it may be. People were still watching. Maybe just why you should watch The X-Files. Yeah, that would be... I think that is in the cards eventually. Have you seen Fright Night 2? Because a lot of parallels between Buffy vs. Drac episode and Vamps in that movie. I have not. I've seen the new Fright Night. And yes, I have seen Battlestar Galactica. Camp. I mean, it's kind of like... Oh, come on, mouse. very hairy cat. It's kind of like what I was talking about in the Firefly, why you should watch Firefly video. I think that you know, we have certain allergies to cliches of certain genres, and crime procedural's one of mine, where if there's a bunch of vampires, spaceships, or lasers, I care less, or I'm less distracted, and as a matter of fact, it's more grounding for me than anything else. It's just absolutely drenched in campy. This may be the most Scooby-Doo episode that has ever zoinked its way on Buffy. This may be the most Scooby-Doo episode that has ever zoinked its way on Buffy. Hey, but surrounding Dracula. Is Angel Season 1 considered a procedural? Not really. Surrounding. I would distinguish between a procedural and like a detective show. One is focused more on the crime itself. The other is focused on sort of the life of the detective, maybe? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Zoinked its way on Buffy. Yeah, it's weird. Once I start writing Buffy scripts, I feel empowered to mess with the language quite a bit more. The episode is, of course, loaded with... Angel is more like Detective Conan. Sure. Yeah, it's not a procedural. I definitely wouldn't put it in that. Sorry, but I can see why the comparison would be there. With references to Dracula lore. Xander... Oh, I want to use... the movie as the visual comparison. Anyone familiar with Dracula can help me out here. So... Oh, the mouse is starting to screw up and it makes me upset. Hold on just a second, guys. Edit drive. Do something about your pasty white thighs. Channel folders. Me also. Dracula. There we go. Buffy versus Dracula. Okay, that needs to prep. How often do you watch an episode in order to do a good review? It depends on the episode. Like this one, not that many times. The early season episodes, while they're setting up stuff that we're going to talk about, I can't really dive into it. So it's more to make sure that I comment on it. Oh, notice this, notice that, so on and so forth. But then, Restless, which was the most time-consuming review I've ever made, and I'm much faster at editing now than I was when I started, was I must have watched that 6 times, maybe 7. I don't know. Book or films. I'm using the Francis Ford Coppola as a visual comparison. I haven't watched Angel in years. Has it aged well? Yes. First season is a little dodgy, then things get better, then they get worse, then they get amazing. Do y'all think Firefly was inspired by Cowboy Bebop? I have heard that. I don't know that I've ever seen Whedon acknowledge that. And usually he's pretty good about acknowledging his influences. I've heard him just openly talk about how Mal is a Han Solo archetype. And that Serenity is inspired by the Millennium Falcon. Favorite scene in Restless is when Ripper starts singing. Yeah, the exposition song. I believe that was the inspiration for Once More with Feeling. yet to see Firefly, but I'm kind of a skeptic. Well, hopefully I'll make a fan of you yet. Episode that has ever zoinked its way on Buffy. The episode is... That has too long a pause. It just zoinked its way on Buffy. Boop. Firefly might not be for everybody. Nothing's for everybody. You know, you make the argument and you hope that something lands with a person the way it landed with you. That's kind of the whole deal about the channel, you know. These sort of passionate, important, personally important media experiences and conveying the why. Zoinked its way on Buffy. The episode is, of course, loaded with references to Dracula lore. Okay. Ready. Anthony Stewart Head is an amazing actor. The first time I saw him, he was King Uthor Pendragon in The New Adventures of Merlin. Nice. Yeah, that's the other thing about Firefly is it's so short. Even if you don't like it, it's not like someone begging you to watch Supernatural.
Vita, believing him dead, flung herself into the river.
God, Gary Oldman is so good in this movie. I love that armor. The muscle armor. Oldman is the best thing in that movie? Yeah. Reeves is the worst. Winona Ryder is not great. And Anthony Hopkins is assassinating scenery. He is chewing it up. But if you're going to do it, it's the movie to do it. That has ever zoinked its way on Buffy. The episode is, of course, loaded with references to Dracula lore. Had to laugh when the Alliance ship was called Dortmunder. As a German, I like that. Dortmund is a city in Germany. Nice. I mean, once I start writing those, I'm going to be looking... Someday I won't be in a basement again. But that's why I get to do this full time. Yeah, I'm going to be looking up. One thing I was thinking of doing for the videos is providing translations of all of the Mandarin, because sometimes it's Cantonese. And I just think it's kind of interesting. Some of the shirts with the kana on them are actually specific to the characters or the episode or what they're about on Buffy. But yeah, stuff like Dortmunder I'm going to be looking up for meaning and significance, of course. I have a feeling that each video in the Firefly episode guide is going to be a bit of a chore, but a labor of love. On Buffy, the episode is... The episode... Come on, mouse. Why did I get a wireless mouse? But why? Oh, slide tool. That's why. Right, stretch tool. There we are. Have you seen Cardi B's Met Gala gown? It looks so much like that armor. Really? I'll look it up. Yeah, that's the design. I love that Dracula movie, even though it's got its problems. But I don't. That would definitely be a candy movie for me. This may be. But one of the things that it does well, I think, is the design. It's so good. When it was badly miscast, I agree. Yeah, the English accents, especially Keanu's English accent, is it worse than David Boreanaz's Irish accent? Yeah, I think it is. You want to translate Mandarin, Holy Mother of Frack, that's a time consumer. Well, there's tons and tons of online resources where all of that is already done. I'm just thinking of including the translations in the videos themselves. A lot of it was meant to be incidental, but, like Goram, we already know what that is in context. But I'll be curious. Let's take a look. Cardi B wears ruby nipples worth $250,000 in the Met Gala. Hold on, guys. Let me turn off my bookmarks bar. Close. She looks more like a cardinal, a jewel-encrusted cardinal. But I do see the comparisons, especially in the lines. Pretty interesting. Oh, Der Alt, what? Oh, you're talking about the Mandarin, yeah. Remember, guys, there's a delay on when you're seeing my video, and then there's a delay on me trying to actually work and not seeing everyone. If you do want me to address something, make sure you tag it. Design is spectacular, acting meh. Yeah. Oh, yeah, except for Gary Oldman. If Gary Oldman weren't in that movie, old Dracula is amazing. That shot, too, where he turns around and licks the blood off the razor, is something that has stuck with me. Sorry I distracted you with fashion. No, it's all good. Everyone ever seen the old Drac movies like Nosferatu? I have not. Buffy? Yep. Out of curiosity, what's your favorite media incarnation of vampires in general? Probably Lost Boys. That's my generation. It's so 80s and scary enough. And I love the Peter Pan interpretation, hence Lost Boys. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. Beyond that, maybe Dracula? Just because of Gary Oldman. Completed watching Buffy now. I love to hate Nathan Fillion as this frackin' priest. Yeah, he's so scary in that. Buffy? The episode is, of course, I can see how, I was actually going to mention it in the Firefly video. If you've watched Buffy and not watched Firefly yet, don't be scared. Of course, loaded with references to Dracula lore. Xander becoming Dracula's servant, eating bugs, being weird. Oh, yeah, so, I believe his servant eats a bug in this movie. Gotta go, live long and prosper. Chat with you soon. Oh, I forgot about his shadow. There he is.
George.
Yes.
Actually, they're perfectly nutritious.
Actually,
This life that I ingest gives back life to me.
The fly gives you life.
So very excited for this episode to drop. You and me both. Definitely trying to get it done. Actually, they're perfectly nutritious. Oh yeah, what we do in the shadows is great. It's almost so dry that I struggle with it a little bit, but I do like it. Master.
With his prey, it's not enough for him to take her.
Bader. I think probably Bram Stoker's Dracula is my favorite media depiction of vampires overall. Just love the weird supernatural effects that surround Dracula. I think that movie nails the atmosphere. I mean, it's so gothic and weird and dated in the way that it probably should be. It's just the acting that people struggle with, and that's generally fair, I think. So I said Lost Boys. I think one of my favorite modern vampire portrayals was the last Fright Night with Colin Farrell as the vampire. Shockingly entertaining. And Chekhov, what's his name? Really unexpectedly good. David Tennant's in it, and I believe Marty Noxon was one of the writers on that. Or it was Jane Espenson. Fright. I never saw the original, so I don't hold any sort of deep nostalgia for it or anything. And I just heard enough people say it was better than... Yeah, Marty Noxon. And Tom Holland? Oh, different Tom Holland. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Anton Yelchin. He was great. David Tennant as Chris Angel was hilarious. I love Toni Collette. Good cast. And Colin Farrell was surprisingly interesting as that vampire. It's loaded with references to Dracula lore. Xander becoming Dracula's servant, eating bugs, being weird. While Buffy is the actual Van Helsing of the Buffyverse. Yeah, I mean, I can see someone... that's why I mentioned I have not seen the original Fright Night. I can see if someone had a connection to it and it didn't live up to it for them, that being a problem. It's a very subdued movie. And I see it's from the director of I, Tanya, and Lars and the Real Girl. That makes sense then. Definitely has sort of an indie movie aesthetic. Where are we? There we are. I have a soft spot for the Lost Boys. I was preteen and complicated feelings. I was the age of the boys in that movie, not the vampire boys, but the young boys in that movie. So everything in that era had a little bit of the Goonies in it, and the Corey Haim's part in that movie definitely had that same kind of flavor. Haven't gone back and watched it in a while. I'm sure it's very dated, but I think I would still like it. Bugs being weird weird. While Buffy is the actual Van Helsing of the Buffyverse, the tropey parallel here is Giles with. Oh, it's so dated, I'm sure. The greased up muscle dude playing the saxophone in the opening was dated when that movie came out. And yet, tickles. Save. Dracula. So where's the 3? Yeah.
Inside, leaving no refuge. Let the exorcism begin.
Good soundtrack. Flashing on that now. There we are.
I know that Lucy harbored
It's
secret
me being
desires.
sexy.
She told
Not while I live. I'm sworn to protect you. Mundi.
Parallel here is Giles with. Giles. Maybe we split screen that. Yeah, let's do that. Ooh, undo. Good night, Matthew. Set to frame size. Tickles! First, the tropey parallel here is Giles. Buffy and Riley being. Ooh, undo. Buffy and Riley Giles with with Buffy and Miles, with Buffy and Riley being Mina and Jonathan Renfield. Dracula, Mina. That is Winona Ryder's character, right? Dracula. Mina Murray, yes.
Dawn, these may be the last words I write in this journal.
It's so bad. This may be the last words I write in this journal. Then again, he's the one who worked with Francis Ford Coppola in Dracula, and I'm sitting at home in my basement on the internet. Perspective. That's the one. I was going to say, worse, Keanu's English accent or David's Irish. That's a race to the bottom. I've been resisting this and recommended because of the title. Not sure I follow. World's most boringest? I like the title. Yeah, at this point, World's Most Boringest live stream is pretty much the brand, right? I tried to change it once a year or two ago, and people complained.
We may not be.
That's the one.
Say will lead to rest.
6, 7. I'm new, but now in. Cool, we're about to watch everything I've done so far. This video has the hardest tonal shift of any video I've made, including something blue. Crop. Really meaning to ask this, what's your opinion on the upcoming Buffy reboot thing? I'm trying to keep open-minded. You know, I think that there is an impulse to be cynical that is grounded in a certain number of reboots, but I think that also when you look closely, you know, Battlestar was a reboot. That was pretty good. So on and so forth. And there's it's a question as to whether it's a reboot, a sequel, a prequel. I've heard mixed things. So with Buffy and Riley being Mina and Jonathan Renfield. Until I see something, I'm just withholding judgment. But I hope it's good. And I think that the format of Buffy, what it is to be a teenage girl growing up in this country, and all of the complications that are involved in that, is no less relevant than it ever was. So he created a model that is ripe for stories, and it was great for a while, and it went away. And if someone of exceptional ability can bring it back, I don't know why that would be a bad thing.
There's something I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, yeah. Miles to go. Little Miss Muffet counting down from 730.
Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Buffy is lying in bed, oddly restless, see what I did there, and leaves Riley for an impromptu Slayer session. She now looks like a max-leveled character killing monsters in the first zone. One of the things I've always found most memorable about this episode is the musical theme when Buffy is hunting in the opening. Strings plus drums get me all psyched up and want to go running. Kind of. Well, thinking about running. Maybe doing a push-up. Buffy gets her fill of monster hunting and returns home, now able to get a proper night's sleep. Cue credits, and oh boy, is it good to be back at this. The gang is taking a beach day, and Buffy and Riley produce my favorite gif.
Anybody ever told Team U the quarterback throws like a girl?
I do?
So, are you girls taking intro psych, or do you just want me dead?
You really have a lot to learn about women, Riley.
You're gonna teach me.
The day is spoiled by an impromptu storm. The storm heralds the arrival of Dracula, with a musical stinger setting the tone of pure camp. I've heard that one more than the Wilhelm scream. At Casa de Giles, Willow and Giles are digitizing his library. Hopefully they learned their lesson after season 1, and Giles reveals big news.
See, I'm going back to England.
That evening, as Buffy goes ham on this vampire's face, Dracula shows up and they make introductions.
Do you know what a Slayer is?
Do you? The confidence with which he rebuffs her sarcasm momentarily takes Buffy aback. The gang shows up. Xander standing there with his iced latte is just an insane juxtaposition, and Drac, sensing how gauche everyone is, goes batty. The implications of making him an actual part of the Buffyverse are kind of mind-bending. Drac has actual flash frame. The GIF bit. Thank you. There it is. Despite that edit, I would just like to say, I don't hate Riley. I know there are piles of evidence to the contrary. In juxtaposition, and Drac, sensing how gauche everyone is, goes batty. The implications of making him an actual part of the Buffyverse are kind of mind-bending. Drac has actual Drac powers, and Buffy shares the news with the gang. Riley is feeling a little insecure about the undead. Again.
I couldn't believe it the first 20 times you told us, but it's starting to sink in now.
Tara and Xander. Was that a... Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Tara and Xander are also feeling a little jealous, and Riley and Xander suggest they go hunting immediately. Buffy and Giles choose caution, and the team breaks for the evening.
And maybe I should just let you get your rest.
Maybe if you just lie down with me.
Nothing you are about to say will lead to rest.
Dracula makes Xander his minion.
You are strange and off-putting.
Go now.
Riley pumps Spike for information about Dracula. What? And Spike reveals how Dracula fits in the Buffyverse.
He has special powers, right?
Nothing but showy gypsy stuff.
So Dracula is vampire plus warlock, essentially. Spike, always with the Yoko factoring, knows where the knife is in Riley and how to twist it.
So you're saying I should check out mansions, that sort of thing?
I'm saying you should go home to your super honey. Have a nice, safe snog.
Misty Dracula doesn't need an invitation to get into Buffy's room to have a sultry off. Drac discovers Buffy's angel/master scar, but neither of them make clear who they're talking about.
You have been tasted.
He was
Unworthy.
Drac is unworthy. Isn't jealous of catching flies with my sexy voice. Teddy bears make me cry. Previous tasters, this is getting weird. Drac bites Buffy, appearing to do so using some kind of mind mojo. The next day, Buffy badly hides her vampire Hickey, her Vicky, as Xander badly hides his new man crush.
Like any of that's enough to fight the Dark Master.
Bader.
Bader.
Willow's new choice of lipstick color after crushing on Drac a bit in the previous scene feels particularly evocative. Xander eats a spider, and even though the shot is accomplished with 2 cuts, it still gives me a Wiggins. Isn't that spider a little much for Southern California? Riley stops Buffy on her way out to get Dracula and discovers her secret.
You're under the thrall of the Dark Prince.
The gang tries to keep Buffy safe from herself, but Xander takes her to Dracula.
I'm supposed to deliver you to the Master now. There's this whole deal where I get to be immortal.
Buffy and Drac, apparently House Baratheon, talk about how Buffy's power is rooted in darkness and she's a creature of the night. He offers her his arm and says something a little familiar.
You think you know what you are, what's to come. You haven't even begun.
Drac offers her a taste. Buffy sees visions of the first Slayer and snaps out of her reverie. Drac's mind mojo stops working.
You know, I really think the thrall has gone out of our relationship.
They fight, Buffy wins, kind of, and has a conversation with Giles, reassuring him that she really does need him. And the episode ends when Buffy stops home and Joyce suggests she take Dawn out.
Mom!
I mean, I get it. I would resent being my sister's throw-in task as well. Buffy vs. Dracula is a fun episode, but has never been high on my list of favorites. In fairness, none of the season openers have. Table setting while cleaning up from the previous meal is never an easy thing. Also not helping things for me and my personal proclivities is the show's portrayal of the Dark Prince. From the opening musical stinger, Dracula is just absolutely drenched in campy. This may be the most Scooby-Doo episode that has ever zoinked its way on Buffy. The episode is, of course, loaded with references to Dracula lore, Xander becoming Dracula's servant, eating bugs, being weird. While Buffy is the actual Van Helsing of the Buffyverse, the tropey parallel here is Giles, with Buffy and Riley being Mina and Jonathan Renfield. Hey, but surrounding... starting to come together, my friends, starting to come together. I was afraid that opening was going to dwarf the video itself, but it feels pretty strong to me. For me, but for me. And save. Edit. Can't be. Zoinks was great. Thank you. And fun. It's cute and cute Looks like I'm going to be ramping up tomorrow, but I've got another half hour in me. Still will be 2 videos in 2 weeks. I can live with that. And save. I'm assuming rewatch and discussion will be next Saturday. Yes. I will post about the delay today. Pushing the... It's cute. It's cute and fun. I think the point is to set up Buffy exploring her power and wondering if it comes from the dark place. Yeah. Essay's not over yet. Why the delay? For the get-together? I'm just, not prepared for it. And, now I have to spend, I have to work on this guy tomorrow. And fun. And fun. And I get it. Actually, we may do it. I don't like pushing things with Patreon. No, nothing's wrong.
I'd heard that you...
Campy just isn't for me. But
Just joking around.
Found you 3 Buffy remastered widescreen. I have VHS and original DVDs, but tried watching a streamed version. I would stick with the DVDs. Hulu's is the only, in the States at least, is the only, we'll go bats. Hold on. Campy just isn't for me. At the moment, Hulu is the only one that is showing the non-remaster version in the States. I think Amazon downgraded from, and I use the word downgraded from the HD version to the European SD version, which still has its problems. And fun. And I get it. Campy just isn't for me. But at least it's, you know, other than the fact that, what is it, 3 through 7 are in 16:9, it's the original vision. Just isn't for me. But Surrounding Dracula is an episode operating with a lot. Surrounding Dracula is an episode. Surrounding Dracula is an episode. 4 through 7, thank you. yeah, that video caught some fire. I was not expecting that. My collaborators and I thought it would be good. But I was thinking 100,000 views, maybe? The old video, which was on a channel far more successful than mine at the time, I think it's still at only got up to about 300,000. But that one did some good business, I guess. It was weird hearing my name. One, two, three, four. Weird hearing my name come up on a podcast that I've been listening to for like 10 or 15 years. I was like, oh, that's bizarre. And for a little while, the visibility on that jumped way up, as did the toxic comments. I mean, we picked up like 7,000 subscribers, I think, or 5,000 subscribers, something like that. But, so that's amazing. Surrounding Dracula is an episode operating with a lot of the comedic confidence and chemistry that we saw in Season 4. You know, people are just, there's a certain contingency of people online who are just going to go out of their way to shit in your cornflakes. Is that how the saying goes? And I'm not particularly thick-skinned, so... and then the cat died, and some other things happened, and I was just like, okay, I'm ready to just get back in the groove with my little audience and team of people that like like to sit around and talk about Buffy. Stop that! I can hear the smacking. Smell like fruit roll-ups.
How?
That's okay. I appreciate that. She was old.
What?
But it was tough.
How?
3 excellent questions.
Yeah, it was a long month. And just kind of adjusting and, you know, starting my own business. Being your own boss is weird. And yes, it seems like just sit here and do videos. A lot of people aren't their own bosses. Dracula is an episode operating with a lot of the comedic confidence and chemistry that we saw in Season 4. Takes a moment to go and get the rock again. Indeed. I'm working on a collaboration with a friend of mine that the trailer for that we made goes up on Wednesday. And I may take the time and tell the cat story. Confidence and chemistry that we saw in Season 4. Say what you will about that season's arc, and I said... Your vids gave me the idea to have Buffy the Vampire Slayer theme watches instead of just flat watching from day one. That's an interesting approach.
Yes, your behavior modifications.
I mean, part of the show for me is... yes. There we are.
There's nowhere left to run.
God, I'm glad to be done with that. Seeing Forrest makes me feel so relieved that I don't have to talk about Forrest anymore. What was I? Oh yeah, part of the thing for me about Buffy is the sense of comfort. You know, it's definitely a comfort show where, you know, after a season in Sunnydale High, the walls feel familiar, and you you get into it, and I'm looking for that experience when I go back and do a Buffy rewatch. Is I want to get sucked in and have that sort of comfortable blanket experience with it. 4. Say what you will about that season's arc, and I said quite a bit. It was by far the funniest and most visual and most.
A bear! You made a bear!
Love how Buffy can put on any episode and just drop right in. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things about very character-driven shows, is you develop a familiarity with them like a friendship, you know. And I sounds a little hyperbolic, but that's part of the power of storytelling. As opposed to a plot-driven show where it's like, you know, the hooks to get you to like the character often seem a little perfunctory. And I said quite a bit. It was by far the funniest and most visually self-assured season so far. Gilmore Girls is the only other show I feel can do that. I've had a few. Next Generation did that. It was way not as character driven as. I mean, it has great characters, but you know, there's sort of a character first, plot second approach on Buffy. I feel like, and you know, a lot of shows lead with one or the other, and Next Generation definitely led with plot a little bit more often, and then let the plots develop the characters, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where I'm reaching with that, but it is different. There's a taste and a flavor that's very different. And most visually self-assured season so far, and all of that is on display here. Don't know about the visually self-assured. What's the best visual from this one?
Do you know what a Slayer is?
He's quite pretty. What time do we have? 8:42. We're good. Early Game of Thrones, Breaking. Yeah, I mean, actually, and again, I say this leading with, I have enjoyed the last season of Game of Thrones, but I also was not a hardcore fan, and watching it, I can see why so far. I mean, it definitely changed season 5 onward. I'm sure everyone is exhausted of listening to people talk about it at this point, but because I was not so far not a hardcore, it was like entertaining, but there were things about the show that put me off, but I was there for the characters and stuff. And all of that. I enjoyed the previous season. But yeah, the boy with Game of Thrones, you can definitely see how the plot-driven the last 2 seasons were versus the first few. But then again, if you look at a season arc in Buffy, it's the same deal. You know, Buffy versus Dracula, really. I mean, Glory gets introduced barely there. She's not in that episode. You know, but then you look at Tough Love, Spiral, The Way to the World, and The Gift. That's all plot-driven. This is like Game of Thrones season 7 and 8. So, I get it. I get the complaints, and I also enjoyed the spectacle. So, TNG Code of Honor is probably the only Star Trek episode I can't stand. Well, Discovery and the J.J. Abrams. I get why. I mean, you know, the J.J. Abrams stuff is fun and exciting, and it's pretty people doing cool things. That's what could be wrong with that. I understand that. But yeah, if you were one of the weirdos that loved hearing Picard talk about ethics and morality and the long-winded debates and, not code of honor, chain of command and all of that. It's like, oh, okay, this is not my Star Trek. The problem with season 8 of Game of Thrones is it was rushed. Think about this. You build the Night King for 7 seasons just to deal with him in 3 episodes. Sure, I get it. I still found those episodes entertaining. How dare you edit the Dark Master, Bader. Yeah, Code of Honor is abysmal, but there are... Come on, buddy. Shades of Grey, the clip episode. There's an episode where Beverly gets seduced by the ghost that seduced her grandmother. There's some... And I say that as it being one of my favorite shows. I know I was the one who brought it up, but I really don't want to talk about Game of Thrones here. Yeah, I understand. It's been done to death. Love the episode, Chain of... Excellent Picard episodes. There are 4 lights. Yes, Chain of Command is amazing. And you can't... I mean, it's a perfect... It's incredibly talky. God, was it Plummer? That's not Plummer. What the hell's that actor's name? He's so good. Star Trek. God, I would love to talk about that episode. I just don't know about an episode guide where I have to do 44 episodes that are the first 2 seasons. That's season 6, right? Chain of Command? Yes. You have no rank. It's... David Warner. Duh. Yes, thank you, David Warner. God, he scared the pants off me in Time Bandits. So good. Have you seen Farscape? I have not. It's been recommended to me a number of times. Yeah, and the turn in that. Whenever I look at you, I won't see a powerful Cardassian leader. Oh. God, that episode's good. I want to stop writing this and go talk about Chain of Command. 3rd season so far, and all of that is on display here. Xander's stint as the Thrall is on display here. She talks about whatever Trek topic episode he feels like. That's an interesting idea. It's on display here. Yeah, I mean, I just don't... the other thing I was thinking was doing the first 2 seasons in... Is on display here. Thank you. Thinking of doing it in... So, like, do just quick episode guides for the first 2 seasons, except for Measure of Man, Q Who, and, like, Elementary, My Dear Data. There's a couple. But, Chain of Command, 2-minute video. Here's what this is about. Here's why it doesn't work. Here's what you need to know. Move on. Data lore would be another one you have to cover. And all of that is on display here. Xander's stint as the Thrall guy has some great moments. Thrall guy. Pilot was decent. Yeah, it was good. Don't know about the aliens, but it was good. Has some great moments. I mean, again, we're having the conversation sort of casual. I think talking about the Next Generation pilot, it would be important to contextualize it in 1987 or whatever it was. And by that measure, it was something unique and totally different and groundbreaking. Now we've had the Lost pilot and Breaking Bad and all of that, so... but it's important to look at things through that eye. What the hell am I looking at? Oh, yeah, Butt Monkey. There he is.
Damn it. You know what?
Different strokes, yeah.
I'm sick of this crap. I'm sick of being the guy who eats insects and gets the funny syphilis. As of this moment, it's over.
That's something I've always tried to lean into with the episode guide, too, is anytime I've panned an episode, there's people who sort of defensively say, but I like this episode. And I'm always like, you're better off. You're the one who can get something out of the thing that I can't. I remember it was about a quarter of the way into the Angel Guide, a woman started commenting saying she was very worried that I was going to pan some of her favorite Angel episodes, including She. And I was like... so I just try and make an argument, and here's what didn't work for me, and here's the good stuff. You know, I don't delight in the massacre. But there's also the other thing, too, is there is in the hierarchy of video creation, when you're writing and editing and doing all of this, the first thing that, the first priority needs to be entertaining. Period. If the video is not entertaining, it's not worth watching. Unless someone's taking it for a class or doing research, or it's so micro-specific to a community that, they're entertained by it or what have you. So making a negative review and making the video entertaining is a challenge when you're not interested in dunking on the episode, which I lost my interest for very early on. Here, Xander Stint as the Thrall guy has some great moments, and Giles getting seduced by the three sisters is pure joy. Part of the way I feel like the videos have gotten better at it is by developing internal recurring jokes. Hey, Dean. That I can sort of lean into to make an entertaining video, even if the episode is tedious or what have you. Without... Dear her, look at how awful this is. What the hell am I looking for? It's pure joy. Tickles. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. As a representative for the community of incurably camp Casanovas, I just want to say this episode is very important to us, even if it's tedious. I have found some joy to this episode. It sounds like I'm dunking on it, but things will take a turn in just a minute. There's a reading I found for this that I don't think is intended, but it made the episode more fun for me. Hi, Ian. Thanks for the Firefly video. I sent it to my homies. Can't wait for Buffy. Good to see you.
Right? I'd heard that you were a myth.
Thanks for sharing out.
Obviously erroneous. Yeah. Oh, that's tickles. Tickles.
Speaking of inside jokes, will the red arrows make an appearance? Not in this one, but I believe the red arrows are here to stay. They were in the Firefly video. Oh, you're talking about his bare chest? Is Riley Riley's got to be bare-chested in this season. I don't know. I think I might have blacked it out. Great moments, and Giles getting seduced. Giles jamming the Freebird is epic. Yeah, I was talking with my friend Lonnie, and I was like, people have requested that I do a bottom 5 list. And while we were talking, we came up with the idea that the only way we would do it is the best things in the 5 worst episodes of the show. And then, you know, you do those 5 episodes where you talk about Cordelia trying to explain to Fish Xander how they can make things work, and Xander in a banana hammock, and Giles playing in Where the Wild Things Are, and so forth. Here, Xander's stint as the Thrall guy, Dracula, way better than the Immortal Scott. Has some great moments, and Giles... I've tried twice now to get through Firefly, and it just hasn't happened yet. Haven't given up, though. I love Jewel Straight. Get her done. Jack! Hey, buddy. How you doing? I've missed you. In an inappropriate way. In this season, is Riley Sexface when he is the vampire... No. Riley Sexface is already in this video. The Immortal's a plot device more than a character, yeah. Rawl guy has some great moments, and Giles getting seduced by the 3 sisters is pure joy.
Tickles.
Buffy reaching out to Giles for new watchering clothes. I think I actually may delay the Patreon hangout simply because I have not notified everyone before today. Give it a week.
And then this whole thing...
Our love is not inappropriate, Ian. Depends on how you do that. Why did I turn that off? How's the full-time streaming going? Well, I edited Eternal Sunshine and Firefly off stream, and so decided to do the tail end of this. And Jack, I've shown the intro. I know I shouldn't. Buffy reaching out. But, in all honesty, based on the delivery schedule so far, it has been rough. I'm hoping that once this video gets up, having 2 in 2 weeks will be the sign of good things to come. Reaching out to Giles for new watchering closes his open loop from the previous season. And oh, full-time YouTubing. Yeah, well, yeah. Trying to break through. There are certain blocks that I think anyone trying to do their own business probably runs into. Financial, personal, all of that.
Couldn't pass through Sunny Cal without looking up.
Where's the one where he gets home from the jog? Is that Doomed? No. Is Beer bad? No, Wild at Heart's the one where he goes to the bar.
Splendid.
How are we doing on time? Where's Boris when we need him? New watchering closes his open loop from the previous season and restores some purpose. And Xander's purpose. Do you have something to say? No?
That's nothing.
No, it's nothing. If I... previous season and restores some purpose. And Xander's butt monkey syphilitic speech is maybe his greatest moment of confidence since graduation. Yeah, Boris hasn't been online today. He had plenty of feedback for me last night. Seth Green for Wolverine. That would be kind of interesting, right? He's had dark hair before. Your hair's different. Ah, sometimes.
The funny syphilis. As of this moment.
Also, yeah, I wouldn't... getting that jacked seems kind of miserable to me. And then not drinking water for 2 days before you have to do scenes with no shirt on. Purpose. And Xander's butt monkey syphilitic speech is maybe his greatest moment of confidence since graduation day. How did you learn to edit? Hold on one second.
Everyone, hand to hand.
Sure makes me angry. No one puts baby in the corner. And of course, Jack, guess where I got this shirt? I made it myself. Greatest moment of confidence since graduation day. So my junior year in high school, I started taking a technology course, and it probably was the most influential bit of schooling I ever had. But part of what it was they had the Peach Pit Adobe books, and you'd go through and you'd learn Photoshop and Illustrator and so forth, but they didn't do anything with video, but Premiere was loaded on all of the machines, and one day I started firing it up and just messing around with it, and then started learning Final Cut Pro, and in college, after a couple of years of open option, got into the video editing program, and they were switching from tape to digital at that point. That's about the age that I am. And the professors didn't know Final Cut, so they hired me to teach the lab courses, portion of the courses, helping people work their way through the software. And then after college, got a job at Apple and Current Television, and then a couple other places, and here we are. But I took a long break from editing, which I'll eventually write about, and got back into it because I started this channel. And part of the reason I started this channel was to get back into editing and making things. So, yeah, I'm not going to wrap this up tonight. That's probably 1 a.m. we're looking at right there, maybe later. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. Jesus, of course you made it yourself. Graduation. Yeah. Always 6-week introductory course, lost on Premiere without it. Lee, hi Ian, good luck with on these live streams. Find it interesting to watch how the whole editing process works. Love your work. Thank you. Sounds like you've had an interesting life so far. I'm here, and I think yeah, there's a lot of stories to tell. Speaking of, this video will be up tomorrow, and then there's going to be a video up on the channel on Wednesday And then hopefully the Angel video will be up on Friday. And the Wednesday thing is a surprise that I am excited to share with you. So I don't know that I'll edit. Yeah, I'll probably edit stream. There's still a few hours of work left. So I will probably edit stream tomorrow when I get up. And that's it. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Yeah, I'll stream the Angel edit. There's no reason not to. Eternal Sunshine was like a rough, personal, tough edit, and Firefly had so much B-roll that I just didn't want to edit all of that on camera. There was about like 700 gigs of B-roll for that video. But anyway, I appreciate it, friends. I will be on tomorrow. If you're here, I will see you then. Good night. Or good morning.